Good evening. You're flying with Pod Squadron podcast. All wings report in. Pod Pirate standing by.
Pod Tracer standing by.
Pod meh. Standing by.
All ships to attack formation. Mission objectives to talk about the full scope of the Star Wars experience from the movies, TV shows, animation, games, comics, books, themed experiences, merchandise, and your art and inspiration from the galaxy far, far away. Today's flight plan includes Star Wars: The High Republic, Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule, and our discussion topic for today is From Princess to General and Jedi, female representation in the Star Wars universe. And for all of you out there, all channels are open. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Find us on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you can know when we have new content. But first, I'll be your squad leader for today. I'm Andy Lowe, a.k.a. the Chinese Pirate, director, storyteller, puppeteer, performer, and fight choreographer. On my wing is TRACY.
Who is a writer, blogger, and occasional semi-occasional quasi-cosplayer-ish.
That's a tongue twister.
I know. And apparently I am the one and only hot nerd girl, TRACY DOERING.
And on my other wing, LEXI.
All right. I am a former art department gremlin, death doula in training, and fandom connoisseur.
Excellent. We are just one squad in the fleet. We're part of the Geekish network. That's on twitch.tv/Geekish network. And don't forget our auxiliary support ships from Digital Click Marketing as we build and expand our alliance. As foils to attack position, we're going in. Okay, that was fun. I do feel like I'm lacking music. I kind of need like John Williams music because otherwise I kind of feel like a schmuck.
Was that my Bohemian blood just then who just started singing for you then?
Yeah, I'll take it. Let's try that next time.
I just know things.
Welcome everyone. So we're gonna get into the episode today. Welcome back, everyone. So before we get too deep into stuff, what's new and exciting for each of you guys? How about you, LEXI?
I have been cleaning. It took me so long. You guys know, I was cleaning paint out of my hair tonight. My old scenic painter skills were kind of called back into use, and I've been had a little gig, which is nice. And have been reading into so much with the book club because of my end of life doula certification that I'm doing, and it's just crazy. I'm like, ooh, I'm connecting all these dots. I'm making all these parallels that nobody even asked for. It's fantastic.
I think that's so cool. Excellent. That you're doing that, by the way. I think that's such a important, people don't realize, I've had a loved one who has gone through hospice, and having somebody there who knows what's happening and can guide the family through it is it's really critical. And I think it takes a special kind of person to be able to do that. And I really admire that you're doing that.
You know, I
will echo that too. My family also benefited deeply from the work of San Diego Hospice when I lost my dad a number of years ago, and it was a wonderful facility. It was a wonderful, comfort, knowing that he was being comforted. It's absolutely important work.
Yeah, Our society does not teach us how to handle transitions very well. It doesn't teach us how to handle letting go very well, which, interestingly enough, is something that Star Wars really talks about, which I think is one of the reasons why it resonates with so many people. But I digress.
That's a good transition for.
We all want to be a Force ghost, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
but we must let go of our attachments. I
got in. I thought I was going to be starting down the road of this profession 10 years down the line, truthfully. Like I've been interested in it for 5 years, but before the pandemic, I was really starting to work more in live events and event production and art department for live events and interactive art installments. And I was really loving that. And I was starting to book more work more frequently. It was starting to become a regular thing. You know, work was begetting work. It was great. And with the pandemic, everything kind of ground to a halt. And it's not that I've really abandoned my love of like the arts or, you know, creative work. I mean, obviously I'm here. This is like such a psychological lifeline for me. I say as I got my same thing, heart, head, heart, whatever. But I wanted a career to go into, not just like a moneymaker job to pay the bills during the pandemic. I wanted a career to angle for that wasn't dependent on whether or not we could put butts in seats safely.
Yeah.
You know, and then I thought, well, there's this career you've been interested in and you've been going, well, it's not the time. It's not the time. I'm like, the end of life industry is not going anywhere ever.
That's true. It is.
Well, and I'm sure that
one of those industries that is.
Yeah. And all the losses during COVID, I'm sure put that right smack in your face.
Yeah, it just, yeah. So and then I realized, oh, like, you know, now is the time. So it's been great to kind of apply that to, especially with this book, like within the first chapter. Now I am going to say it's like not even gentle. Yeah. I'm gonna haul this freighter over. Within like the first chapter, we have like catastrophic events and death. So it was very interesting to come at it from that process. I'm nowhere near through with like my books. Like I've got this stack here, and then I have about 20 hours of curriculum to get through online before I can even like take the certification test. And that's one of two potential certifications I can get, which I do eventually want to get the international one. I'm just going with the national one for now. But yeah, I'm very excited to like bring that whole side of like life purpose and what we can pass on to the next generation and like the art of letting go.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. How about you, Tracy? Shall we move? What's on your mind? Well, no, don't, that's not. Just pushing us forward as you do.
I am in a way dealing with the opposite. I'm dealing with new life because it's been total overhaul the garden time. Which I don't know if I've talked really about that on this show, that I'm like growing food.
We've heard about the chickens.
Yeah. I went way down that rabbit hole when COVID started.
I want to know about the food. Tell me about the plant.
Yeah. So and this is where I know that I'm getting old too, is because I got so excited about seed potatoes arriving in the mail, like way more than I have gotten excited about other things recently. So yeah. So today the seed potatoes went in, and I got, I'm hoping to get like at least 8 to 10 potatoes out of each one of those seed potatoes. And
what kind of potatoes?
I went with Yukon Gold for these. Most of the food that I'm growing is for Mama Jedi, because I'm very overprotective of Mama Jedi, and I got to make sure that she always has something to eat. It's like, you know, I have constant dreams about the zombie apocalypse and how I'm going to keep Mama Jedi alive during the zombie apocalypse. So, you know, this was like a good practice run of that. And but no, yeah, I've started all these. I've got, oh gosh, like 48 seedlings going. And some of them were seeds I propagated myself. And yeah, so those are all under the grow lights, and I've been planting, and I hauled like 20 bags of dirt yesterday, and this morning. My back is killing me. So,
you know, it's almost as if you're terraforming in the outer rim of San Diego out there in Encinitas.
I am. I'm a groundhog baby, so I call it the Little Groundhog Garden and Henposium. That's my name for
Henposium.
my henposium. And I'm very fortunate that I have a backyard that is very oddly shaped, but it's large, so I can kind of have different sections of my backyard. And yeah, it's like it's been I didn't realize how relaxing I would find it. And so I've been listening to the audiobook while I was hauling dirt. And
Oh, so you're also doing the audiobook.
I did. And the reason why I did the audiobook was because I forgot about reading the book until I guest hosted King Geekery on Monday. And then I could not, for my I have a first generation Kindle. It's one of those old ones. It's got like marks in it and everything. But it's one of those things that I can never find. I lose it. I'll have it for a week and I'll lose it for 5 months. And for the life of me, I could not find it. And Rod, the voice of Rodney, was like, "Oh, we can send you one." And I was like, "That's not going to be enough time." And then I was like, "Oh, I better get the audiobook." But then it was like really expensive. So I was like, "I'll sign up for the free trial." And so I signed up for the free trial of Audible. And then I tried to listen to it while I was working, like working. And I was not getting it. And there was just too much going on. And so I listened to it again today while I was doing all that. And thank God I did, because there was a lot that I missed.
Well, that's exciting, because that means when we get to the book, we can not only talk about the book, but we can also talk about the performer who's reading it, because I think he's fantastic, but we'll get into that later.
Okay, take point on that, because I didn't listen to it. I just read it.
That's okay, but at least I have one person that I can
One of the characters sounds like Steven Seagal.
We'll get more into that later. Before that, I do want to address one thing from last week. So last week we had our little kind of discussion topic about diversity and representation, or as I like to say, justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in Star Wars, or the Jedi way. But we left you with the one thought of, if George Lucas had gotten his way and had permission to cast Toshiro Mifune as Obi-Wan Kenobi, who would you cast as young Obi-Wan in 1997? And we did get a couple of responses.
Besides you, Andy?
Online. Huh?
Besides you?
Well, I'm just saying I was maybe 21, 22 at the time. I mean, I coulda. I mean, maybe. No, hey.
Your martial arts pictures and modeling pictures from that time, Andy, were...
Maybe. I mean, it could have been me and Darth Maul. Hey, man. But I also do want to call out Jason Gallett, who said, hands down, Hiroyuki Sanada. He's a bit older than Ewan McGregor, but he would have killed as Obi-Wan Kenobi. And if you don't know who he is, he was in films like the Wolverine and 47 Ronin. He is also going to be in the upcoming Mortal Kombat film as the Scorpion.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Another person, Edward Hong, said, Asian years are flexible. So with that said, keeping that in mind, that keeping in mind what their age would have been in 1997, it could have easily been Tadanobu Asano. He would have been 24 at the time. He's another Japanese actor. He's known for films like Electric Dragon. Let's see here. What else? He was Nagata in Battleship, Lord Kira, Yoshinaka in 47 Ronin, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's see here. What else he has been? He was in Martin Scorsese's Silence. So these are all great choices. So thank you to those of you who commented on that.
What was Silence? I don't remember the movie Silence.
I don't know, actually. But Martin Scorsese's, he doesn't mess around. So he also portrayed. Oh, we got Voice of Rod.
If I'm remembering correctly, it's a Scorsese film with
the actor that Andy just mentioned?
No, yeah. It's what's his name? Oh my God! I'll think about it. I'll come back.
He'll come back. He was also Rear Admiral Taemon Yamaguchi in Midway. film from 2019. So that was fairly recent. Another movie I did not see, but
I did see Battleship, so I know which one you're talking about.
Excellent. But with that, shall we get into our main topic of the day, which is our book club for the High Republic. This is The Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule, and I will start with the epilogue. Star Wars, The High Republic. The galaxy is at peace, ruled by the glorious Republic and protected by the noble and wise Jedi Knights. As a symbol of all that is good, the Republic is about to launch Starlight Beacon into the far reaches of the Outer Rim. This new space station will serve as a ray of hope for all to see. But just as a magnificent renaissance spreads throughout the Republic, so does a frightening new adversary. Now the guardians of peace and justice must face a threat to themselves, the galaxy, and the Force itself.
Da, 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 da.
I love a crossover.
All right, take it away, Lexi.
So I haven't read any Charles Soule's before, or any of his graphic novels or comics. So this was like quite the introduction. This was also somehow my first Star Wars novel. So really,
your first Star Wars novel.
Yeah, I despite being a kid who like lived at the library, I had not picked up a Star Wars novel before.
Oh, no way. I thought you had read a bunch of the original EU stuff.
Nope.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this is like a specific kind of treat for me.
Excellent.
Really, really interesting.
I will say I also have not read much of Charles Soule, but I do know that his work on the Darth Vader comic book series has been very beloved. He's also the author who kind of came up with like the new state of how dark side kyber crystals work. The whole idea of bleeding a kyber crystal to make it red.
Did the whole blue butterfly thing come from him?
I believe so. Him and the artist who was
that's like the Darth Vader like floating, and he's almost looks like he's like lava rock with lava cracking through, and you see the blue butterflies if you are familiar with that image.
Yeah, he's got a knack for creating stage pictures, for lack of a better word, like in your head. You know? I appreciated that a lot. Yeah. So what I thought was most interesting about this particular book, at least for me, was like the wider implications that it has on the galaxy as we know it, as we were first introduced to it. So it's kind of fun for me trying to predict what patterns will lead where, see what they're able to I guess this whole now, like, I'm pausing as I now realize that writing an entire High Republic arc is like essentially like officially retconning everything.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that this is not an era that's really been touched on, right? It's only 300 years before Battle of Yavin, I believe, ish, somewhere around that. It is very interesting to kind of go into this most fruitful and most idealized time. I'm really fascinated by kind of how this book kind of starts, right? I mean, it starts with a bang, and the stakes are ridiculously high at the top of this book.
And it's wonderful, I think, that the pacing never really lets up, and yet you don't get worn out.
Yeah,
that's something that I'll definitely say is he managed to keep the pacing up without burning me out, which is a big accomplishment.
Do you think part of that is that they're coming at the same story just from different aspects of it?
I don't know necessarily, because I mean, reading reading, and without trying to give too much away, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without giving too much away, but going into the other parts of the High Republic series, even though they're shorter, I felt like I wasn't as
captivated.
Like I've appreciated all the other High Republic material that I've consumed, and none of it has been subpar in the slightest.
Right.
But every so often I get a book where like I lose track of time when I read. Like go into my own little like hyperspace wormhole, for lack of a better. No, not lack of a better. That's the perfect way to say it right now.
Actually, I should probably just say, just in case, if any of you are spoiler wary, we are talking about chapters 1 through 18 of The Light of the Jedi. So we will be talking through this. So either this is your opportunity to get the synopsis and decide whether or not you want to dig deeper and hear all of the nuance of the writing, which is really wonderful. Or if you want to skip this section until you've had a chance to take a stab at it yourself. But there's so much that this book offers in the details that even if you get the synopsis from us, I think it has a lot to offer.
And even if you're not into the kind of like lore and wooey space hippie shit like I am, if you're thinking like my best friend since high school, his big thing is like all of the different ship designs and like ship models. Like that's what he knows really well. Like he can tell me which ships were in which dog fights, and like and I'm like, that's awesome. I don't remember any, like you'll have to point that out to me. So
if you like the Jedi, this is like the high point of the Jedi.
Yeah. If you like, if you like, different Jedi, like lightsabers and different kind of like force connections and all that. This is a great novel for that. This is a great novel for like, if you like different ships and tech and you like the descriptions of that, those are fantastic.
We have two comments real quick from the chat. Okay, so Ring Capacity says that there's short chapters jumping from scene to scene makes it almost like the pacing of an action film.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I could see it being an action film on screen. And then
or you can turn it into a couple season long arc.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, almost like the Expanse type vibe.
Yeah, the pacing would break down very well for something for screen. Anyway.
Yeah. And then Scuba Steve 1968 is saying, I don't read books well. Can I get the same out of an audiobook? And I will say that this audio, we'll probably get into that a little bit later, but this audiobook is different than most, but I think more, I don't read a ton of audiobooks because I'm a very visual person usually. But from the ones that I've listened to on road trips, I will say that this one, the guy who does the voices of it, takes a lot of care to give every character their own unique voice. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the characters sounds like Steven Seagal.
This is audible.
And you can, are you playing the audiobook?
Sorry, no, that was I was trying to get the name of the reader.
Oh, and like even like a couple of the characters that are only in there for a brief scene, they're almost like Valley Girl or something, like just to distinguish them from any other character. And it's like they're kind of a, in a way that they're a throwaway character, so you don't need like a super Star Warsy voice for them, but he's pretty good. And there's background noises, like you can hear lightsabers and blasters and things like that. So they really try to make it feel like a Star Wars movie, as if maybe you were like a blind person, and you can only hear it.
I'll say that I've done a number of the Star Wars audiobooks, and they really go out of their way. They basically just go to Skywalker Sound and say, hey, master this. And so you have John Williams audio clips as well as music clips from various other Star Wars properties, from Rebels. I mean, they have the whole library available to them. They also have all of the sound effects, all the droid effects, all the blaster, the lightsaber stuff. So it creates a very audio soundscaped cinematic experience, quite honestly. And the performer's name is Mark Thompson, who is fantastic as a performer. He has such ability of transformation, and I'm sure there's a little bit of editing effects so that he can layer himself a little bit as he's essentially talking to himself and taking on different narrators and different character voices. But from male to female to alien, what he does with the Wookiee Jedi is fantastic.
Even when they're like stretching, he's like, "Oh, I can do that."
Yeah. But not to get too derailed into talking about the audiobook. Yes, absolutely, I highly recommend. I've enjoyed a lot of that. I'd love to talk a little bit about just kind of the beginning of this book, just because, I mean, it kind of took me by surprise, the first 2 chapters, where we like over and over again are just introduced to characters that are just, in a short time. In a short time, you develop a relationship, you develop a life for them, you have hope for them, and then they are just like put in extreme peril or killed immediately.
The moment that they killed off the captain, I went,
"Oh my God.
I'm not getting attached to anybody."
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not, I like pulled a Game of Thrones where I was like, I'm not going to care about anybody. And then a couple chapters in, just like a couple episodes in a Game of Thrones, they pull out the dragon eggs. And in this case, the dragon eggs was Buryaga, the Wookiee Jedi. I went, "Oh, damn it, Joe made me get emotionally attached." And then I went, if they kill my favorite, I stop watching, aka, or I stop reading. I don't know how we would have done this book club if they'd have killed Burry, but they didn't. Unlike with I said, once one of the dragons gets killed, I'm out. And nobody believes.
We riot.
But they do kill a bunch of kids, though, right? I mean, that whole intro of the book is essentially the LEXI run, which is a big cargo ship that has passengers on it.
Unless they made it back to their families. If they were still in the common area, then yes, they died. Yeah. But if they went back to their bedroom areas, yes.
But yeah, this ship basically just it crashes into another ship in the middle of hyperspace. So you have
but it doesn't,
all of
that's,
this.
That's what's even more heartbreaking, though. But that's what's even more heartbreaking is that technically it doesn't even crash.
Yeah,
she manages to avoid it, but the ship is such a large and old ship that she basically tries to get it to do a sports car maneuver, and
it rips itself apart.
She's a fighter pilot trying to maneuver a cruise ship.
Yeah.
We've all seen those like Russian traffic videos where like the freight truck tries to like avoid the little car that's not paying attention and it falls over and skids off the road and like the cargo falls apart, and it's like that's what happened to the LEXI run.
And the car stops but then keeps going. Not my problem.
Or maybe it's like it's a tanker ship, right? A tanker ship with a bunch of storage containers with people in them, and now all those storage containers are hurtling towards a planet, to a whole populated system.
And she's like, "Throw off the containers; they'll be fine."
And they're exiting hyperspace with no capability of steering. So,
but also, what I found really interesting is that hyperspace seems relatively new at this point.
Yeah.
Which reminded me of Star Trek Enterprise, where transporters were new, right? And like all the different implications of that and how people don't trust it really quite yet. And
that's also a really cool thing in just terms of world building. Just right from the get-go, they're talking about all the people who are on the LEXI run and this idea of the Outer Rim planets as totally untouched worlds, right? Probably to create all the settlements on planets that we've seen, in other Star Wars properties. But yeah.
Tatooine.
So so this book was also like my introduction to Kindle, which I loved for like the notes. And I don't know if anybody else had like favorite quotes.
Wait, so what are notes? Because I am not on Kindle, so.
So it lets you highlight things, which is fantastic. And if a lot of other people have highlighted it, then it also tells you that like it'll kind of show up and it'll show you
cool.
So if like
see, you have a fancy new Kindle. Mine's the first generation.
Well, I don't. It's my phone. It's just
oh, okay.
It's just like the updated version of the app or whatever. And I can do different highlights, and I have like highlights in different colors. Like, although it's not so good at syncing because it's missing stuff. It's like,
are there any specific quotes that you want to share that like jump out to you?
You know, I was looking for it and like.
Okay, Alfred Lord Tennis, anyone who we know who that is.
Who could that be?
He's trying to stir the pot. He's saying, but in all caps, so he's shouting this at us. He's saying, but is there a Star War in the book? I need groups of stars fighting each other.
Well, they're not in chapters 1 through 18, but they do lay some groundwork for stuff that will happen. And it's right after chapter 18, there is a little bit of a what is it's not a chapter, it's like a mini chapter, which kind of sets up the villains of the story that will play in for the rest of the novel, called the Nihil. And
as Ring Capacity said, we don't know what it almost crashed into, although there are breadcrumbs.
Yeah,
there are absolutely breadcrumbs about what it is that they encountered or ran into, and then you kind of have the breadcrumbs leading to what happens in chapter 18. Mm-hmm. Which is preventing a star from going to war with something that could create a war. Yeah, I will say that we do get a star war. We do get a star war. Yes.
But that's later. That's
un
later.
Un Star War. ¿Cómo se dice un Star War? We get one, but it's after chapter 18. I just I powered on ahead because that's. I mean, this is a thing that actually is really kind of interesting too. About once they establish this tragedy and the impending doom, right? Like every chapter begins with how many hours till impact, right? That was anxiety inducing. Oh my God. It is, yeah. And so you do have this dread, like they go to the ruler of the planet, who's Minister Zephyrin Eka, right? And he's basically just like, there's nothing we can do. This is beyond, we don't have enough ships for all the people that are here. We're doomed. And it's literally what it's like the countdown starts at like 2 hours. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad you brought up the minister, because that kind of brings up the other topic of the fact that there are so many characters. Oh my God. We're introducing the galaxy at a whole new point in time, mm-hmm. like an entirely new point in time. I think our only constant is like Yoda. Yeah. I think Yoda's like the only.
There's the one Jedi, Chris.
Well, this is our first introduction, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
I thought you meant through the book.
I just mean in terms of like the verse that we already know. I think the only constant between
across Star Wars,
the original trilogy, the prequels, the sequels, and then this, I think Yoda is the only constant so far.
I mean, we also get some really cool teases in terms of how different the Jedi are now. When there are little teases that that there's more than one Grandmaster, right? There's another Grandmaster other than Master Yoda, and we get little teases about how the relationship to the Force with all of these new Jedi who we meet is so different, right? Avar Kriss, for one, is who's the leader of the rescue operation, is so fascinating to me, and I love how they introduced her as this as kind of this conductor, with her relationship to the Force being very musical, so that as she does, they reintroduce this kind of idea of Force battle meditation, but for her, it's seeing the Force as a symphony of music, and she can kind of pinpoint individual melodies or counter melodies or harmonies in every Jedi, in every like life form.
She's basically the Professor X of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that as like a person who's like synesthetic, with her way of connecting to the Force via music. And a lot of synesthetes like experience music in a different dimensional way. And I know I've said it before. We kind of started off with a little like fan casting, but I just keep seeing the cover of the book and I just keep going, that's Brie Larson. I do think she would actually play a very good Avar Kriss.
I think she would.
Yeah.
I'd rather have her gift than the one that just sweats oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was that? That was that the Ithorian or
I don't remember. Ring Capacity said that they have a problem remembering the character names, and I totally feel that because it was like, okay, there's like the Twi'lek lover.
Andy wrote a nice. Okay, so we have Avar Kriss, who's our like resident master,
and who's like the leader of the operation. Who we haven't.
She's kind of.
Well, we haven't met yet, right? At this point, it's just Azar is just referred to at this point.
Yeah, she's just referred. Avar Kriss has referred to Elzar Mann a handful of times, and I don't believe we have met him yet.
Yeah.
On the Hetzal Prime surface, we've got Loden Greatstorm and Bel Zettifar.
So
these are our two newest main Jedi, like that. This whole novel kind of tracks.
So
can
I talk about them really quick? I really love their dynamic. I love Loden Greatstorm is the Jedi Knight who he's a Twi'lek, and he is kind of this. He's basically a full-on badass.
But with a sense of humor.
And basically his idea for his Padawan, who is Bel Zettifar, is that every moment is a learning moment, and I'm not going to do anything because it's an opportunity for you to learn. So Bel is basically just being set up to be a freaking badass because he's had the most challenging but most trusting Jedi Knight master ever. To the point that he's like, okay, you're just going to jump out of the ship and land on the planet.
Push him out. And then he's like, next time I'll throw you off one of the tallest skyscrapers of Coruscant. You'll be fine.
Yeah, essentially shoves him out. If I didn't believe in you, I wouldn't have done it.
And he's like, I'm going to die. Oh, wait, I'm like a flower.
And so then we have the pilots, right? And so we've all talked about Buryaga, but so we have Buryaga, who is our Wookiee Padawan, who is just a great character. I love how sensitive he is. His master is Nib Asek. I can't remember.
I think she's the one that sweats oil.
Okay. That's
Wait, is she? Oh, yes. I think you're right. Yeah. But she's not the one that sounds like she's mildly annoyed all the time, right? That's the other one.
That's Tayami, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the audiobook now.
Okay.
So we have this.
Not everybody listened to the audiobook.
Wait, that was Tammy. Tammy did sweat oil, and then
Tammy sweats oil. Okay.
Tammy sweats oil. It's Tammy.
Oh, so confusing.
And then we have Mikhail Sutmani, who is the Ithorian. And also, I just love Ithorians. I think they're just cool. They're just.
What do the Ithorians look like?
Ithorians are the hammerhead guy from the Tatooine, right? And they, or if you're a Galaxy's Edge, a Disneyland goer, Doc Ondar. Doc Ondor, who has the hammerhead head, who police shop in Batu. He is also an Ithorian.
That was something I really appreciated about this, beyond having, Buri the Wookiee, was that there were so many different species.
Aliens, right?
That I just kind of went, okay, I remember that, but let me look it up to get a reference point. And it was almost always something that was in the original trilogies. It was I appreciate
Oh,
that.
the one captain is some underwater one, but it's not the two that we're most familiar with. It's not a calamari, and it's not a squid one. It's something else.
Oh, the captain, Finial Bright. Yeah, he's the same race as Kit Fisto. So I automatically love him because I just love Kit Fisto so much.
And then
we also have another fly species guy, right?
Oh, sorry. So that's the Nautilin. Nautilin.
Right.
Nautilin.
Yes.
That's what Kit Fisto is. Nautilin. There we are.
And his two crewmen who are Inaman, and Peebles, who is that same fly-headed race that we
he's got like 19 eyes or something.
Episode 1.
Yeah.
Really quickly, Rodamaron, thank you for the sub, and Pawn Junior 77, thank you for the sub.
That's Paul. Hi, Paul.
So we have all of these different kind of plot threads, right? So we have the Long Beam, where Avar Kriss is kind of the head command, kind of running the battle meditation for everyone. We have the Hetzel Prime surface, where we have Loden Greatstorm and Belzetifar, who are trying to help some of the citizens escape that are being kept out of a ship owned by rich people. Then we have the pilots who are trying to deal with a piece of debris that's about to hit a moon. But Buryaga is the one who discovers that there are people inside the debris, so they can't just destroy it.
His intuition comes into play so many times.
Yeah,
in the rest of the novel as well.
We should also call out the two Long Beam pilots who are just volunteers, right? That's Joss and Pika Arden.
That was the one line that was cheesy.
Which one?
It was like, yeah, she's such a great co-pilot, and she's beautiful too.
It really gave me Firefly vibes.
God!
Specifically gave me.
Like Wash and Zoe.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that makes it better. But I mean, his name is Joss, and that just is.
I know. I was like, are they friends? We need to have a conversation about Joss at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a Pan-Geek conversation, not a Pod Squadron conversation.
It just makes me sad.
But that's just yeah. We still haven't had a Cara Dune conversation either yet, but though I'm just throwing that out there. But today is books. It's okay.
Okay. Book. Oh, I'm sorry.
Exactly, ring capacity. He said bad timing on naming a character Joss. Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, although really like a couple of years ago we knew this, so
it was coming. It was all coming.
Yeah.
Okay, I digress. So anyways, okay, and then our other main plot thread here, of course, is what we're talking about with Captain Bright, which is the Solar Array 22, which is the solar array scanning station that first calls out the anomalies and the crashing and the burning and the what, and Captain Bright is trying to do a rescue operation on that solar array.
And they kill so many good characters.
So quickly.
I say they just as in like the Star Wars verse,
Yes.
Like it's one author, but I can't think about it too personally or I'll get mad at him.
So I do want to actually talk about the ships a little bit. The Jedi Razors are so freaking cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love this idea of a ship that has no instruments. You can feel every bump and crack because ultimately
like
all the instrumentation is it is. That's not
with like a atmospheric bubble in it and a palm.
Yeah, that Jedi relationship with their relationship with their ship.
Is it the ship that controls how they can manipulate their lightsaber to not kill, or is because I don't.
So what it is that it's on a lot of the High Republic, most of the High Republic vessels, whether it's the light Jedi speeder or one of the kind of like heavier ships, anytime you needed to use ordnance, if you wanted to use a weapon, the activation key was a lightsaber. So you couldn't just get some asshole in there who's like, I want to like hijack the ship. Even if they hijacked the ship, they couldn't use the weapon system. So, which is very interesting because it still relies on the premise that the Jedi is going to make the right judgment call.
Yeah.
It relies
but there was something about how on the ship they talked about how the lightsaber doesn't necessarily need to kill. And I was wondering if that was only on the ships, because in normal Star Wars movies, all we see is pretty much one mode.
You know, there's I remember it's from Bell's point of view. The first time that he pulls out his lightsaber when they have to fight off the Marauders, it's a cool passage because he describes how he sees the lightsaber and how it's only as lethal as it needs to be. The idea being that it's like you're not going to get sepsis like a bullet wound, or you're not going to get it's that you use a lightsaber, you cut off the hand, and they can't attack anymore. If it's only going to lead to death, then you have to kill.
No, there was something. There was that too. Yes, I remember that segment. But there was also one that was specifically on one of the Jedi ships where they were talking about. It was the same passage where they were talking about how you, like, if you're on that ship, you have to basically ask the ship permission to use the lightsaber as a weapon, and there was something about how it could stun as opposed to just kill. No, you don't remember this?
I don't remember this.
I'd have to reread it. This just comes from me reading Star Wars.
Ring Capacity says the lightsaber also gives them the ability to change the strength of the ship's weapons, through which
what it was.
made me think the weapons were powered through the kyber crystals. And he's saying that I'm right. There's something about it. Thank you, Ring Capacity.
Yeah, memory better than mine. I do remember I do think it's cool that, like, if you have a purple lightsaber, then your blaster bolts will be purple, right? Like that's a cool thing. Or even the cockpit lights up according to the color of your kyber crystal.
What was the ship that had like a big head, like a fish and a tail? Was that the Nautilus's ship? It had it was like a big head, and then the rest of the ship like came into like this kind of wispy tail thing. I think that was the Nautilus ship, because he was saying he was underwater and it was like a fish he used to catch when he was a kid. Okay, I'm just talking to myself at this point. Go on.
Oh, okay.
This is me just trying to remember which of the books I've read is applicable. Which is like my own fault. This is what happens when you read both of the High Republic releases and Thrawn and Ahsoka, and then like also 2 of the High Republic comics.
Nerd.
I will say I did start the Claudia Gray book a little bit, but I put it on hold so I could focus my brain on a reread or a re-listen of this.
No, that was smart. That was smart. I'm like, I'm sitting over here going, I can't say that.
Don't cross the streams, Lexi. Don't cross the streams.
All right. That said, we should probably move on.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts on the first 18 chapters, part 1 of Light of the Jedi?
Where does 18 leave off? Because I feel like it went past 18.
So 18 leaves off with one of the first major scenes with the Nihil.
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, 18 ends with the battle meditation and them pushing the gas tank.
Yeah.
So with all the Jedi, right? Yeah. All the Jedi are focusing to the point where some of them crash, right?
Yeah,
or pass out,
die, or whatever.
So you have like the major sacrifice of the Jedi and the conclusion of the action in the Hetzal system. You have the conclusion of the main action within the Hetzal system, and then thank you, Ring Capacity, and the interlude with the Nihil showing up in the Abdalis system.
Yeah.
So it kind of segs into the wider implications for the other parts of the galaxy.
And the Nihil will become very important in future chapters. Alfred Lord Tennyson, anyone Yes, there will be a war. Relax.
There will be a star.
There will be a star.
They're kind of like the Reavers, right? But
yeah, that's
but
a good.
But they have more mind capacity than Reavers, right?
I mean, yeah, they're definitely much more of a pirate organism. Well, okay, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. That has not.
We should have ring capacity on as a guest host. I've known ring capacity since we were 14 years old, so I can vouch for that.
Fair enough. And I'll once again, before we move on, I do want to say Mark Thompson is fantastic. His character voices are distinct. His performance is really wonderfully nuanced. If you're too lazy to read, check out the Audible thing. Highly recommended. But
if you're an audio person,
fair.
Right? Like some people are not visual people; they're just audio people.
Right.
It's not laziness.
Well, it is for me.
Wait, so. I'm going back and I'm looking through one of the things about I'm sorry, I'm going back. My brain just won't leave it alone.
We still love you.
Lightsaber also gives them the ability to change the strength of the ship's weapons, which made me think the weapons were powered through the kyber crystals. Yeah, I do remember that. And that was what it was, is that the weapons on the High Republic ships were specifically kyber crystal powered. And so you had to, it was like using the individual lightsaber was kind of like a Jedi's like thumbprint password to like activate the weapons and adjust the strength. Kind of like the blasters with being able to set them to stun.
Like a phaser.
Wait, that's a Star Trek thing. That's the other star thing.
Other stars. Other stars and other wars and more diplomacy. So.
All right. And is that it? Are we wrapping up?
Yes.
Until next time? Great.
So what are we doing another 2 weeks to finish the rest of the book? Is that what we're doing?
We're doing another 2 weeks to do part 2, which I think will take us through chapter 35, correct? Because the book is in 3 parts.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Yes.
That's good to know.
Yeah, we have.
So that will be March 6th when we talk about Light of the Jedi part 2, chapter 19 through 35.
19 through 35. Okay.
But we'll also be talking about what we'll be talking about next week, which is we're going to do another essential Ahsoka watch list, which is a 6-episode arc across 3 different seasons. It's the Onderon arc, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's move on, shall we? So last week we did a kind of free-flowing discussion topic about diversity and representation in Star Wars. This week we wanted to follow that up with female representation in Star Wars, and kind of what the state of everything is. You know, I know that a lot of friends of mine in the geek community, particularly female geeks and who love Star Wars, you know, when Princess Leia came out, it was such a big thing. It was like there was no character like her. And now, right, like the Leia icon of the spunky, you know, not what you expect, or subversion of the princess archetype, right, is so common now. What do you guys think about kind of Leia as kind of this beginning of female representation in Star Wars?
I love how you said "you guys." What do you think?
Well,
it's okay. It's cool. When you first said that, I was so confused because it was like I was like, you're not old enough to remember when Princess Leia like first came out. Like you're not, are you?
What?
Hush your face.
What are you talking about?
Because you were saying something like when Princess, like it was like you remembered when Princess Leia came out and you were like already an adult, and how your female geek.
Well, I wasn't an adult, but no, I'm talking about in hindsight, right? I mean, 1977.
Yeah. Well, I figured that out. But if anybody was wondering why I had a confused look on my face, that was why. It was because I was like, I thought you were talking about your own experience at the time that Star Wars came out, and I was so
It
confused for a
was. I mean,
second.
I was like 5, but I mean, even amongst my sisters, right? Like there
Were you
weren't.
really?
Yeah, I was born in 1975.
really? Wait, Star Wars came out in 77.
77. So I was like 2 or 3, but like
Either way, you look fabulous, Andy. Well, I think, I mean, okay. So even when I started doing Star Wars Steampunk Universe, which was, when was the last time that Celebration was in Anaheim?
would have been 2019.
But no. It wasn't.
No, that was
it was-
D23.
Yeah. It was like 2016, 2017, maybe.
That sounds right. I've never been to Celebration, I must say. In fact,
Oh, really?
my first Celebration was supposed to be 2020.
Would have been, right? 2022, we'll hang out. Me, you, and Alfred Lord Tennyson over there. We'll hang out. So when I started doing Star Wars Steampunk Universe, there was such a finite number of characters. We already had, I mean, the whole thing came together because of Celebration and being asked to be on a panel. So I put together like a steampunk Leia costume, right? But unbeknownst to me, they had done a photo shoot ahead of time, and there was a gal who already had a steampunk slave Leia costume. So then it was like, okay, we were approached at Celebration by somebody at Lucasfilm who said, we want to make this a group like the Mandalorian Mercs, the 501 First, and we want to have you a Lucasfilm, whatever. So at that point, it's like, okay, well, this wasn't just for an event. This is going to be an ongoing thing. We're all very charity minded. Let's continue this. But because there was already, she already had that outfit, it was like, okay, well, I need to come up with a different character. And the one photo shoot we did, there was already an Amidala. So it was like, okay, well, what other female characters are there that I can be? My costume looked like Leia. Leia's mom is Amidala. The only other female is Sabe, who is Keira Knightley, who was very, very briefly shown as Amidala's bodyguard / body double. That was the character that I had to be because there was no other female characters. Flash forward, and we have Rey and, Billy Lord's character. I can't think of what her character's name is. We have Jin, what's her face? Ursa from Rogue One. We've got Solo.
She got changed.
Yeah, there's so many female characters now. So just from even a costuming perspective and a cosplay perspective, I'm used to cross-playing as Han Solo because there weren't enough female characters. I mean, I love dressing up as a dude, so don't get me wrong.
I was gonna say, I just do that because I like it.
I know. I'm Malcolm Reynolds, not anybody. Anyway, I digress. There was, you went from having only these few options and having to kind of scrabble for scraps to having just these amazing, strong female characters to choose from.
I do want to give a little call out. I mean, it's small. It's a small role, but I feel like Mon Mothma is an appreciated character, right? The leader of the rebellion, established in episode 6, right?
That's true.
That's really important, I think. And also, I would love to see Julie Andrews play an older, wiser, ex-chancellor Mon Mothma, just because I want to see her get the Disney EGOT.
But how do you steampunk that? She's got hair and a white robe. That's fair. Not even a robe. It's just like she's wearing a white sack.
Yeah.
Maybe it becomes like something with like a white cravat. I don't know.
I'm hoping
you put a steampunk belt on her, and they're gonna think you're being Princess Leia. I'm
hoping that we get more Mon Mothma in the Cassian Andor series too. Like we get to see more of her, stakes in everything.
Yeah, the actress they got to be her in the updated movies, or was it Rogue One? What movie was it?
Well, she filmed scenes for episode 3, and then they brought her back for Rogue One, and she's coming back for Cassian.
Was that the same actress, or was that a different? I was like, how did they get somebody who looked just like her?
Yeah, because she's aging up with what's his name for Organa. She's aging up with What's his name?
Oh,
LA Law
Jimmy
guy.
Smits. Jimmy Smits.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you guys have the actor names.
I mean, he's very nice to look at.
Cassidy says Steampunk Sabine would rock, and I agree with that.
So let's talk about like how it is now, right? Like we have, expanded universe characters like Mara Jade, and lots of people who love Dr. Aphra. Do you guys know Dr. Aphra?
She's somebody I'm less familiar with.
So Dr. Aphra appears in a lot of the comics, and she appears to be, she appears to be a mixed race Asian-ish person, which is kind of cool. And her character is kind of a rogue Indiana Jones in the Star Wars universe. She's like a treasure hunter, more or less.
She's like River Song, but in Star Wars.
Yeah, actually, that's a pretty good analog down to the mixed race analog too.
Is River
but
Song
she's very
mixed?
beloved.
Well, I guess she technically is like half a Time Lord.
I like that this is our Firefly crossover episode.
Time Lord absorbent.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she's just English and Scottish.
I will say it's too bad that the rumors about Matt Smith playing a young Palpatine didn't come true, because that actually I think would have been a good fit. But
oh, it would have been. Oh yeah. My! I hadn't thought about that in the slightest, but now that you say it, I can't unsee it, and I don't want to. I like that. I like that more than I like that a lot.
Yeah,
more than I expected. All right.
So yeah, but we've had a lot of characters, even characters that have only shown up for, 1 or 2 episodes in Clone Wars, of course, like Barriss Offee and Master Luminara, of course, Duchess Satine, who is a very important character in the mythos of the Mandalorians, Asajj Ventress.
I will say that we, at the Star Wars steampunk universe, not that we're super active now, but we did have a Ventress and an Ahsoka Tano and a Barriss Offee. So, Offee.
I also remember who
would be an interesting a good steampunk that it would be Hera Syndulla.
Yeah,
the Twilight Captain.
She's halfway there, right?
Yeah, she's halfway.
She's got goggles.
I would love to see that done. Somebody needs to do that.
Somebody needs to have a baby, to have a little what's her name from the new movies? Mon Mothma? No, what's her name? The little critter with the goggles, the big eyes.
With the goggles? Maz Kanata.
Maz Kanata.
Yeah.
Zoe Saldana.
Yes.
Zoe Saldana.
Oh wait, that's not Zoe Saldana.
They made her look like such a grandma, and she's
it's Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah.
Oh, Lupita Nyong'o, you're right. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah, but if I ever have a baby, I'm gonna dress him up like that for
like
celebration.
Grandma either.
Orange.
But I guess my point being is that they made Maz Kanata look like a little grandma of a character, and Lupita Nyong'o is like the opposite of that.
You guys, when I was at the world premiere of The Force Awakens, and when I walked down the red carpet, I was right next to Lupita Nyong'o, and can I just tell you that she's so gorgeous? Oh my god, like ridiculous gorgeous. And then I was walking next to Gwen, what's her name from Game of Thrones, who's all silver. I'm a little. Yes, Phasma. I'm a little buzzed right now. Sorry. And her and Gina Davis tapped her on the shoulder, right, like literally a foot away from me to my left. And they were like, fellow tall girl. And they hugged and embraced, and I have pictures of it. It's on my Facebook page.
That's
but I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I don't normally get super starstruck, but I was just like, they're all so pretty. All so pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like when I was working some catering event right out of college, and Joe Manganiello bent about 2 feet down because that's how far he had to go to talk to me, and asked me where the chocolates were for Sofia Vergara. And I was like, we just refilled that dessert bar like 5 minutes ago. Like literally he had to. And I don't get starstruck very often, but I was just like, you guys, the desserts are right over there. Oh my God. Yeah.
Usually only Star Trek characters. They're the only ones I'm ever like.
I feel like there are a lot of people in Hollywood who are good looking, but the like good cinematography and the makeup and the wardrobe and everybody does a great job and adds the glow, right? And then there's some people who they like don't need any of the crew or anything. They just fucking glow. And that's like Sophia and Joe, they glow.
Oh God. Oh,
well, okay,
Manganiella.
Yeah, they're just very pretty people. Anyway,
Magic Mike.
I worked in catering for years. I've like red carpet, big events, and like I've grown up in Los Angeles. And like I don't get starstruck, and like I didn't even get starstruck, but they just like walked away, and I was like, holy shit, they're pretty. All right, okay.
So we'll come back. We'll come back to pretty Hollywood people. But before we let's go back to. So you called out Harrison Dula, right? We had a number of great female characters from Rebels, along with her, of course, seventh sister, which was voiced by Sarah Michelle Gellar. We had Governor Arinda Price, who was a great villain. And
hold on, I was today years old when I found out that was Sarah Michelle Gellar. Moving on.
Really? Okay.
Me too.
Well, because
Which makes sense because her husband.
Exactly.
Yes.
They can carpool. And then of course we have the return of Bo-Katan and the return of Ahsoka Tano.
Wait, at Rebels? You mean at the very last episode?
Well, Ahsoka's like she appears in every season at least once.
I've only seen the last episode because I was there. I went to the Disney thing for it.
No, you haven't watched the Rebels yet? Oh my gosh. Okay, we got to get the Rebels. Dude, Rebels is very good.
Yeah, Rebels is really good.
And there's also a really important Ahsoka. Okay, we're going to get to that. We'll get to that as we continue our Ahsoka rewatch.
But I did see the Ahsoka come back with the robe in the finale of Rebels.
We'll get
There's so much to do before we get there.
I'll get there, Josh. I'll get there. Okay.
Okay, let's get to okay, of course we've got all these characters from the sequel trilogy. We have Rey, we have Rose, we have General Leia, we have Admiral Holdo. Of course, we talked a little bit about Maz Kanata, Captain Phasma, and Janna, who was introduced.
Oh, we had a steampunk Phasma too.
That'd be cool.
She was super tall. She was the slave Leia's younger sister.
Gwendolyn Christie.
Gwendolyn Christie. There you go.
Bless you. Bless you.
I do wish Captain Phasma would show up in the parks still, because they for a little while they were doing these stormtrooper marches through Tomorrowland, with Gwendolyn Christie's voice kind of commanding them. It was always kind of a cool thing to just watch a stormtroopers marching through.
She's one of those rare women that just has like daddy vibes.
Can I just tell you how insanely gorgeous she is? They uglied her up for Game of Thrones, but that woman is beautiful.
You say that they uglied her up, and I'm like, it didn't work.
I know. You can only ugly up beautiful so much, but she's like, I mean, you put a little mascara on that woman, and I'd bat for that team.
Yeah, she reminds me of biased.
I'm almost out of alcohol, you guys. This is not good.
Well, okay, before you run out of alcohol, let's look at our current slate of all these characters that have come to the forefront in The Mandalorian. Of course, Cara Dune, Ahsoka again, Fennec Shand, Bo-Katan again, and Koska Reeves.
I'm really hoping that the absence of one Cara Dune means more Fennec Shand in the long run.
I'm really hoping that the absence of... Go ahead.
or maybe not even absence of, but I hope that, I don't know. I hope we get more Fennec Shand.
There will be a void that Fennec Shand could help fill.
Well, I think Fennec Shand is definitely going to be there with Boba Fett in the Boba Fett series, but I'm totally expecting there to be a new either shock trooper type or character that will fill that void. What are you pointing at, Tracy?
Ring Capacity is asking, do we know if they're going to recast She Who Must Not Be Named? I will say there have been rumors about her being recast, but don't read anything from comicbookresources.com.
Yeah.
That website is bullshit. And if I even see it come from that website from cbr.com, I won't even read it. Also,
I'm going to call out, we got this covered. Don't even click.
Yes.
I'm so tired of them.
Yes. Now, CBR is different than comicbook.com. That's different. But there's been, I know that there's been a big fan push for like Lucy Lawless or somebody, which I would be totally down for Lucy Lawless.
I'm always down for more Lucy Lawless.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I mean, shoot, man, there's so many people from the BSG world who would probably love to hang out with Katie Sackhoff some more.
I'd bat for that team for her too.
I mean, that said, there's also plenty of rumors around possible casting of Sabine Wren. There's some new rumors going around, I know, about casting of Ezra. There's still rumors,
what have we heard
right?
About, what have the rumors been about Ezra? Because I'm
cautious about. I'm cautious. That's the thing. I'm cautious about. I don't want to perpetuate crappy rumors, right?
But I would support it if it did happen.
Yes. So the rumor that's out there is that that possibly the cast of Aladdin live action is being cast as Sabine and Ezra respectively, which I would be in support of.
If Mena Massoud was Ezra, I would be incredibly content with that.
I would love that. I didn't hear about the Sabine thing. I only heard about the
It's another rumor. It's all floating out there.
He should definitely play Ezra because he would nail the shit out of that.
I mean, considering, basically, Ezra is basically street rat in space anyways. I mean, the character design and the setup in season 1 for Ezra was Aladdin.
I remember reading an interview with Mena Massoud, and he's like, yeah, everybody wants a Disney role or a Disney fairy tale role because they think that, casting directors will be knocking down their doors. And he's like, maybe if you're white, but to be honest, as somebody Middle Eastern, he goes, I think one of the only things he had since then was someone who didn't know who he was, and he was actually very happy about that.
We need to have an episode about that. We kind of talked about it. About expand on the diversity maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Oh,
there's certainly plenty of
I would love to go over that the unfortunate tradition of frequently, which is part of the reason why my brain said Zoe Saldana, because she's another woman of color who is cast as aliens that she gets CG'd over. Just like Lupita Nyong'o, who was cast as an alien and then got CG'd over, and so that's also
there's that's a whole topic of
they almost did that to Grief Karga, and they did not. They didn't do that to Carl. They almost did.
It's called black body dysmorphia in animation and science fiction. The trend towards basically taking black actors and turning them into animals and aliens. Question for you guys. So when Rey was set to be the main character of the new trilogy, how did that make you guys feel as women?
I mean, it made me feel great. I think we talked a little bit about this last week, that I had higher hopes for the Finn character, right? And I felt that him and Poe's roles maybe should have been a little bit. But I think that as far as Rey goes, she stayed pretty consistent throughout, as far as her level of character importance. Whereas I feel like they just wasted Finn as a character. I think that I was hoping in the end that she would be a little bit more like Jin from Rogue One.
Yeah.
I didn't.
In what sense? I mean, I agree, but in what sense did you mean that?
Just in like I think her inner strength and her inner fortitude. I think that she was so influenced by that Rey was so influenced by other people who were male influences. I think that she was kind of being ping-ponged back and forth between Han and Luke and Kylo Ren and even the Emperor in the last in episode 9. I think that her character really struggled between finding herself and being that ping pong between all these male characters. I'm sorry, Lexi, I can't hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I agree with you. I think it took away her agency.
Yeah, whereas Jin was like her own person the whole way through, and no man was going to tell her what she did. Huh?
Seriously, so. I love Jin so much.
Yeah. And I think even having the romance with Kylo Ren in the end, while it didn't bother me as much as it did a lot of other people, I felt that it was a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Like stereotypical.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
We don't need that.
I thought it. Yeah, I thought it was. It almost, it just kind of pandered to the very unadventurous version of the hero's journey where they find love. It
was just that stereotypical like go for the bad boy bullshit. Whereas like she had this great guy. Which bringing it back to what Andy had been saying earlier, which like, how did it make you feel as women? Is that I was very excited. Like, yes, we have a female Jedi. We have a principal female Jedi. Then her agency kind of gets slowly stripped away by all of her drive and intentions being, ricocheted around between these men. And then ultimately, they did this romance that while it didn't ruin anything, it didn't add. It fell back on this old standard.
Yeah, it felt like it fell back on an old standard, which didn't work when the entire premise supposedly was abandon the old ways when they no longer work for you. Like that
Andy,
was a big thing.
Andy, you're muted. Which is fine. We're talking about women. We don't need to.
Here's you have no idea. For the last 10 minutes, I've been. Can I say something? And I forgot I was muted. No, something that like I feel like there were two very good ideas in terms of directions for those core characters. Right in The Force Awakens. Particularly now that we know like what the concept of a Force dyad was, there was the potential for this idea of Finn and Rey to basically be a Force dyad that both accelerated each other's Force powers, right? That whole idea of a symbiotic relationship in the Force. That was a cool idea, particularly with a female Jedi and an African-American male Jedi. And also the allegorical implications historically as, the African-American empowerment movement and the women's movement have been kind of come up together, or one, advances forward and the other kind of piggybacks. And that was an interesting thing to me. Then there was another possible direction, right? In episode 8 of this idea of just letting Rey come from nowhere and be, an inheritor to legacy in her own way. And neither
As
of
opposed
those,
to the snap scene.
and neither of those ideas. Oh no, the snap scene that is it, right? Of her, whoever her parents were, wherever she came from, didn't matter, because what matters is who she is now and who she decides to make herself. That was a really powerful thematic character direction in my opinion, and it whiffed. It whiffed in episode 9 because they chose neither of those. Right.
Well, and even Ring Capacity is saying it wasn't romance per se. They had a deep connection that brought balance to the Force, and it wasn't romance so much as balancing each other out and becoming two parts of a whole, which was where they were going until episode 9 when she kissed him, right? Or whatever.
And while I agree with that, I still don't like that you took of the first female main character, first main Force sensitive, and made her need a male half to make her
Fair
whole.
Thank you.
Sorry. Fuck that. Does not need to be romance for it to be fucked.
Yeah.
And is it weird if I get nitpicky and say that Finn's not African American?
That's true.
He's just a melanated spaceman.
But
Not, you know what I mean?
so anyways, we should probably wrap this up. I have one last question, right? So we've talked about where we've gone from Leia being kind of Bechdel sandwiched by
Person of color. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. And then we've gone to.
Well, no, melanated is appropriate, but I didn't want to say just.
So we've gone from the one being the one to being one of multitudes, and what is your kind of feeling on that difference of going from?
I thought it was the biggest missed opportunity. Which kind of ties into whole.
Oh no! I'm talking about in the broader Star Wars universe, right? I mean, this is the thing, right?
Yes, exactly. So that's exactly what I was saying. Where I thought that at least in the last movie, where how they kind of leaned into Rey's Palpatine heritage, and that kind of tossed away the starting that they had of the little boy who might have been Force sensitive and Canto Bight, and then all these other things where you had the larger implications for Force sensitive children out in the universe, and that anybody could have this legacy.
Oh, the kid, the barn kid. Yeah. That was such a missed opportunity.
The little work. Yeah. And so that was a beautiful seed for the fact that you don't have to have a certain blood or a certain lineage to be strong with the Force. It was a very Ratatouille of the Force kind of thing, where it's not everybody can be a great chef, but a great chef can come from anywhere.
Yes, I love that.
Great Jedi, but a great Jedi can come from anywhere. Kind of,
well, and that said, right? I mean, here's the great thing, right? Is that we've just gone through this list of all of these great either protagonist characters or side characters, sub characters, villains, and that's the great thing, is that it takes the pressure off of any one character having to be everything for everyone, right? And I think that's a great place to be right now, where we can let Fennec Shand be a rogue, and we can have Bo-Katan be the heiress to the Mandalorian people, and we can have Ahsoka be a grizzled warrior, and no one is carrying the whole weight of representation.
And
what was your original question?
Well, that was it. It's the difference between being the one versus being one of multitudes, right?
And where I hope, if they reintroduce one Grand Admiral Thrawn, that they can get away from just portraying him as a villain and maybe making him an anti-hero.
Oh, yeah. He's coming. He's definitely coming.
Yeah, I want them to make him an anti-hero, because I don't.
Yeah.
What do you think about
otherwise?
What do you think about Rupert Everett as Grand Admiral Thrawn?
I I'd love it, but I still kind of
I keep losing my earbuds.
I want Lars Mikkelsen back because he's done it already. You know.
All right.
I'm crossing my fingers for that. Really quickly, let's go give thanks to Chaz N2 Fleek. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Alfred Lord Tennyson, anyone? Virus JTG and Austin Lay. Sorry.
Little Austin Lee.
Little Austin Lee. Thank you for your follows. Also, thank you to Rodamaran and Pa Jr. 77 for the subs. And yeah, it's about time we wrap up because we've gone for a long time, guys.
Oh, good, because I have to pee.
Do you have any other comments on your end, TRACY?
Are you still closing now?
The closing of every episode is that I have to pee.
This is our new formula.
By the end of the episode, I have to pee.
Our new formula, since we don't have Benja losing connection, is TRACY has to pee. That's a new formula.
I have a very small bladder.
I also have to pee. I drank a lot of coffee this morning. So coming soon, our promotions for the coming weeks. So of course, next week we are going to continue our Essential Ahsoka watch list. We're looking for 6 episodes this time, which is 2 more than last time, but I think it's going to pay off. We're going to watch the Onderon arc, and so this is episode 310, Heroes on Both Sides. This is the first time Ahsoka dual wields. Episode 414, A Friend in Need. And episodes 502 through 505, A War on Two Fronts. So this is
a lot, Andy.
It's 6 episodes.
Now for how many times I'm going to accidentally say Alderaan.
But it's a great arc, and it's really the theme of this, right, is watching kind of Ahsoka realize the real cost of war, what it does to people, what it does to families, how people kind of deal with the loss of it all. And I think it's a really consequential story arc, and I hope you all enjoy it. So we'll go ahead and put that in all of our social medias in case you forget. But once again, it's 310, 414, and 502 through 505. We'll talk about that next week. Once again, we'll talk about the High Republic. We'll continue our book club in 2 weeks. On March 6th, we'll cover chapters 19 through 35. That's part 2 of Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule.
We have one more follower, by the way, Officer.
Call it out. Who's it?
Officer, but with a Y instead of an E. Officer.
Cool. Welcome aboard. And of course, we want to see your Star Wars creations. Do you cosplay? Do you make fan films? Do you build droids, build models, sell stuff on Etsy? Show us your Star Wars stuff. We want to see how Star Wars has inspired you, and we just might feature you on the show if you do. So thank you for joining us tonight. We're here on the Geekish Network every Saturday night at 8 o'clock. Check the schedule for all the other great shows throughout the week right here on this channel. Please follow us here on Twitch. And if you love what we are doing, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you have Amazon Prime, you can link your account and sub to us using Prime Gaming, and it costs you nothing, but it helps us out. Also, please follow us on our network socials, our network socials, as well as the Geekish Network social medias, as well as the Pod Squadron show social media, and all of our personal stuff, which we'll get to in a second. But you can find all the Geekish Network stuff on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and you can also do subscriptions on YouTube. Tomorrow, so we're going to talk about other stuff happening on Geekish Network. Tomorrow's Sunday we have the Nerdtastic team coming in. They are continuing their deep dive into the Power Rangers universe. If there are any Power Rangers fans out there, they'll also have special guest Yoshi Sudarso, who played the Power Ranger in Power Rangers Beast Morphers. Sorry, what was that, Lexi?
Yoshi is just such a sweetheart. I had the pleasure of being art department on a film he was in, and like he's one of those actors that treats the crew people like they're real fucking people.
Right. There's a few Power Rangers that are friends of.
Maybe at some point I can tell a story about how the Power Rangers saved me from a very awkward situation with a guy in a bar.
Someday.
but next time because I really have to pee.
And of course, so next month, okay, so because Tracy has to pee, we're going to go through this really quick. Monday, I will be on Pangeekery with our special guest, Mila Josephine. We'll also talk about Studio Ghibli's new CGI movie, Earwig and the Witch. The season finale of Pots and Pangeekery will be on Tuesday. Bingeworthy will be talking about season 3 of Star Trek Discovery on Wednesday. And Monday through Friday, there's Geek Beast, which will bring you daily nerd news roundups about 7 o'clock. Much love for our creative arm of the Geekish Network, Digital Click. And when it comes to all things visual you see on the Geekish Network, that is their handiwork. They specialize in digital marketing, design, and social media advertising. If you or someone you know needs help in that space, get at them at digitalclick.com. Thank you, Mike, for helping us produce. And once again, I am the Chinese Pirate. You can find me at Chinese Pirate _ on all platforms. Tracy?
Oh, I'm Tracy. I'm the hot nerd. My microphone fell. I don't know what's happening. The whole world's falling apart. I'm Hot Nerd Girl, and you can find me at Facebook at Hot Nerd Girl, and Instagram at Hot Nerd Girl Official, and Twitter at Hot_Nerd_Girl.
And Lexi.
I'm going to be making myself easy to find next month.
That's coming.
Until then,
work in progress.
Consider me your friendly Star Wars verse fulcrum.
Please check out our content on podsquadron.com. You can also like and subscribe us on Twitch and YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram for podcast subscriptions. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. And remember, the truths we cling to depend on our own point of view. Only the Sith deal in absolutes. Thank you, and good night. And are we rating anybody actually?
Oh,
producers?
Oh, I don't know. This has a higher alcohol content. Just FYI.
Okay, they're gonna find someone, but we're gonna sign off. So thank you very much. We'll see you next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about Ahsoka.
Yay!
May the Force be with you.